Right now, all around us, there's this invisible world buzzing with activity. Billions of signals are flying through the air, carrying our phone calls, our Netflix streams, our GPS data, and most of the time it all works beautifully, like a perfectly coordinated dance. But what happens when that dance turns into a mosh pit? Well, that's when our modern world can just stop. Let's get into why.
So, what we're jumping into today is actually the first part of a 10-part public awareness series. It's called Invisible Interference: How Radio Frequency Interference Affects Your Everyday Life. It's put together by RFI detectives, and it's all based on research from Virtualization Options LLC. And really, this is designed for everybody, because this invisible problem, it can be anything from a small, everyday annoyance to something that seriously impacts public safety.
Let me ask you something. You ever have one of those days where it just feels like your technology is actively trying to sabotage you? You're doing everything right, but it's just not working. I know you know that feeling. I'm talking about that video that just buffers and buffers right at the best part. Or that important phone call that just drops for no reason. Maybe your internet feels like it's from 1998, even though you pay for the super fast plan. Or hey, what about when your security camera feed just goes black? Or your car key fob decides to take a vacation in a deserted parking lot? All these things feel so random, don't they? But what if I told you they could all be connected to one single invisible culprit? Okay, so it's time to pull back the curtain. Let's talk about what's really going on behind all this digital frustration. It's something that's happening all around us, all the time, completely unseen. And that culprit has a name: radio frequency interference, or you'll just hear it called RFI. In the simplest terms, it's when one radio signal basically crashes into another one. And when that happens, the message it was carrying, whether that's your Wi-Fi signal or the command to unlock your car, it can get totally lost, scrambled, or just block. Now, I know radio frequency interference sounds pretty technical and, a little intimidating. But the idea behind it is actually incredibly simple once you think about it the right way. We just need a good analogy. This quote just nails it. Just picture it. Your phone, your Wi-Fi router, your neighbor's new smart fridge, the garage door opener from 3 houses down. They're all on the same street corner, all trying to shout their messages at once. It would be total chaos, right? Nobody would hear anything clearly. Well, that's RFI. It's literally an invisible traffic jam.
So this invisible traffic jam doesn't just happen in one way. There are actually a few specific kinds of signal crashes that cause all these headaches for us. Let's break down how it all goes wrong.
All right, first up, you've got co-channel interference. In our traffic analogy, this is simple. It's two cars trying to merge into the very same spot at the same time. A head-on collision. Then there's adjacent channel interference. Think of this as a huge truck veering out of its lane and sideswiping the cars next to it. It's just bleeding over where it shouldn't. And finally, there's this wild one called intermodulation distortion. This is like two signals crashing so hard that they actually create a new phantom signal that causes a totally separate pileup somewhere else on the highway. So if we've got all these signal cars and crashes, you have to wonder, where are the roads they're driving on? To get that, we need to look at the map of this invisible highway system. That map is called the radio frequency spectrum, or RF spectrum. And here is the most important thing to understand about it. It is a finite resource. Think of it just like land. There's only so much of it, and we can't just make more. And that, right there, is why our invisible highways are getting so unbelievably crowded. And here you can see how that land is zoned. The RF spectrum is carved up into different bands, or lanes, for very specific things. You've got lanes for TV broadcasts, lanes for your Wi-Fi, and, this is critical, dedicated lanes for emergency services like police and fire departments. Every single wireless device is supposed to stay in its assigned lane. Okay, so we get it. There's an invisible traffic jam happening on an invisible highway that we can't expand. But why does this really matter? I mean, a buffering video is annoying, sure, but this issue scales up from just being an annoyance to being a real serious alarm for our safety. Just think about the implications here. The same exact interference that makes your movie freeze, that could also make a Wi-Fi call to 911 drop. It could disable the signal to your smart lock, leaving your home completely vulnerable. It could be the reason your key fob just plain won't work in a dark, empty parking lot. Or it could scramble your security feed at the one moment you need to see what's happening. The interference is invisible, but its failures are anything but. And that really leaves us with one pretty heavy question to think about. We all know how dangerous a real traffic jam can be on the highway. So what happens when the traffic jam is in the air? On those invisible highways that our safety, our security, and our daily lives depend on more and more every single day.